Good day, everyone. My name is Wendelin Manukay from BSED Science 2.
The documentary film explores the history of the Moro people in the southern Philippines and their resistance against Spanish colonizers. It discusses attacks by the Ilanons and King Dalasi on Spanish forces occupying Mindanao and establishing Zamboanga City. Because of Zamboanga City's geographical advantage, Spanish built Fort Pilar, so no one can stall their interests, but King Dalasi and his men attacked the fort to resist the Spanish oppression and the suppression of the Mora people's way of life. Even the fort is armed with cannons, they were outnumbered by King Dalasi's men who has only swords, but they were relentless. The slave raiding by groups like the Moro peoples of Sulu Sea occurred primarily for economic gain to meet the demand for slaves in booming slave market, political power and social prestige rather than as a strategy to suppress Spanish colonization. The raids involved Ilanon and Balangang Isamal warriors who used Lanon warships to attack coastal communities and pretending as fishermen. O3 Films was the primary production company responsible for making the film. This means all three entities share the responsibilities, costs, and potential benefits of making the documentary. Documentary film produced by O3 Films in 1996, directed by Esman Othman. It was televised internationally by Discovery Channel and History Channel in 2008, with Oak-Tree Film as the primary producer, and it was made under a co-production agreement, meaning it was a collaborative effort with the Media Authority of Singapore and the Korean Broadcasting Commission. The co-production agreement was likely limited to Singapore and Korea due to a combination of factors, including co-production agreements allow filmmakers to pool financial resources and share the significant cost and risk of film production. It also allows them to access government funding, grants, and tax incentives that are specifically available in each partner country. This makes it easier to distribute and promote the film in each country's market, reaching a wider audience and potential increase profitability. Moro is what Spanish colonial called to our native Muslims in Mindanao. The raids are shown as a form of resistance against Spanish colonization and the spread of Christianity in Mindanao. It also shows the Moro resistance to the Spanish colonization, wherein raids is part in response to this escalated hostility and a way to assert their independence against the colonizing power. The practice of maritime raids were not entirely new, but was a continuation of pre-colonial traditions such as the pangayaw or community expeditions, which were also undertaken against enemies. As the end of my part, let me ask you, is it right to call the raiders as pirates? No, because it doesn't cover raiders nor people who act on behalf of the state. It is because for Moro, the raids is for retaliation against foreign occupation.
Good day everyone, I am Angelica Magcalayo and today I will report about Raiders of the Sulu Sea and the important events connected to it, which is the raids through the use of balanghay in the coastal areas of Spanish settlements were sanctioned by the sultans to retaliate against the colonizers. And the last one is the Spanish-American Wars against Moros lead the Christian-Muslim conflict in the country. Now, let's proceed to our proper discussion. Noong panahon ng mga Kastila, may mga tinatawag na Moro Raiders na galing sa Sulu at Mindanao. Ang gamit nila ay mga malalaking bangka tulad ng balanghay. But first, what is balanghay? So, balanghay was a large wooden boat used as early as the 10th century. It was built using planks of hardwood joined by wooden pegs without nails, which shows advanced craftsmanship, and balanghay was used for fishing, trading, migration, and sometimes even raiding during conflicts. And did you know that the word barangay, which we use today as the smallest political unit in the Philippines, actually came from Balanghay? This is because early communities were formed by families who traveled and settled together using these boats. And also, ang bangkang ito ay mabilis at kayang magsakay ng maraming mandirigma. And before, pinahintulutan itong gamitin ng mga sultan upang magkaroon ng pag-atake. Kaya ang mga pag-atake nila ay hindi basta-basta rebellion kundi bahagi ng organized resistance laban sa mga Kastila. Ang tawag sa ginagawa nila ay raids o biglaang pag-atake sa mga coastal towns ng mga Kastila. Sa mga raid na ito, kinukuha nila ang supplies, ginto at minsan pati mga tao bilang bihag. Ang mga bihag ay ginagawa nilang alipin o pinagpapalit sa kalakal. At dahil sa takot ng mga tao, tinawag ng mga Kastila ang mga Moro na pirates. Pero ang pananaw ng mga Moro, ito ay laban at depensa lamang laban sa kolonisasyon. At dahil sa mga pag-ataking ito, napilitan ng mga Kastila na magtayo ng watchtowers at forts or tinatawag nating kuta sa Visayas at Luzon. At isa sa mga makikita pa rin natin hanggang ngayon ay ang mga lumang bantayan sa Cebu, Bohol at Iloilo. At nang dumating ang mga Amerikano, hindi natapos ang labanan. Naging malalakas ang Moro resistance at dalawang kilalang labanan dito ay ang Battle of Putumayo noong 1906 at Battle of Putumayo noong 1913. Dito, libo-libong Moro kasama pati babae at bata ang namatay dahil sa malakas na armas ng Amerikano. At dahil dito, nagsimula at lalo pang lumalim ang Christian-Muslim conflict sa ating bansa. Ang hidwaang ito ay nag-iwan ng marka sa kasaysayan at nakaapekto pa rin sa relasyon ng mga komunidad hanggang ngayon. And for the last part of this are the special and important points in my report. First ay ang paggamit ng balanghay bilang war boats. And the second one ay ang papel ng mga sultan sa pagpapahintulot ng raids. At ang pangatlo naman ay ang pagtatayo ng watchtower at forts ng mga Kastila bilang depensa. And the fourth one ay ang malagim na laban gaya ng Battle of Putumayo at pagbagsak sa panahon ng mga Amerikano. And the last one ay ang malaking epekto ng mga ito ay ang matagal na Christian-Muslim conflict sa Pilipinas na patuloy natin nararanasan hanggang ngayon. And that's all for my report. Thank you.
Now let's talk about the documentary's key informants or contributors of this film. Meet Aisel Gloria Durano Borja Estrada or Aisel D. Borja. She was an artist, art historian, and executive assistant of the city mayor of Zamboanga. She was born in Zamboanga and she was a seventh direct descendant of Vicente Alvarez, known as a hero of Zamboanga City during the Spanish and American War. She earned her Bachelor of Science in History Education at Western Mindanao State University and her other degrees at the Feller College Zamboanga City, University of the Philippines, Diliman College of Fine Arts majoring in Art History and Ateneo de Zamboanga City. So masasabi natin siya na isa siyang multiple degree holder. She was a painter and sculptor and one of the best Zamboanga's artists. Her published works are Peace for the Senses of Talisay, Bard Trees and Tel, and Dea de Zamboanga. Aisel D. Borja is also an art collector. She is also member of a National Commission of Museum of the National Commission for Culture and Arts of the Philippines. She also became the president of the Mindanao Association of Museum, and become also a curator of the art museum exhibit in the Philippines and abroad for many years. Aisel D. Borja helped make the documentary by sharing her knowledge of history and art. She comes from the famous family, which is she is connected to Alvarez, so she added a special perspective to the field. Her work made the movie more informative and interesting about Zamboanga City's culture and history. Now let's proceed to another contributors, which is si Dr. Samuel K. Tan. Siya ay Filipino historian, academic, and also an author. Pinanganak siya noong December 13, 1933 sa Siasi, Sulu, and he died on January 6, 2022 at the age of 88 years old. He is a Samal Tausog Chinese Filipino. He earned his master's degree in history at UP Diliman in 1967 and doctoral in philosophy and interdisciplinary studies at Syracuse University, New York, USA. From 1977 to 1982, she became a chairperson of UP Diliman Department of History. Siya ay umupo ng 6 years bilang chairman and also naging chairman din siya and executive director sa National Historical Commission of the Philippines na ngayon ay na dati ay National Historical Institute. Siya ay naging chairperson and executive director from 1997 to 1999. Meron siyang 20 books na about Philippine history and isa na doon ang History of the Philippines in 1987. Ang naging ambag naman ni Dr. Samuel K. Tan ay yung knowledge niya about dun sa Moro history. He provide important information about dun sa mga battles and struggle ng mga Moro people dun sa Spanish colonizer. His expertise made the film more accurate and informative, giving viewers a better understanding about dun sa history and culture of the Sulu archaeology. So, let's proceed to other contributor, which is si Professor Barbara Watson Andaya. She was Australian historian and author. She was born on June 7, 1943 and expert siya sa Indonesia and maritime Southeast Asian history. About her educational background, she earned her Bachelor of Arts and Diploma of Education in Asian Studies from the University of Sydney and Masters of Arts at the University naman ng Hawaii and Doctor of Philosophy in Southeast Asian History naman sa Cornell University. She is a professor of Asian Studies in University of Hawaii in Maranoa, and she became a director of the Center of Southeast Asian Studies. She also a president of the American Association of Asian Studies from 2005 to 2006. Her notable work, which is the book of the Flaming Womb Repositioning Woman in Southeast Asian History from 1500 to 1800, she received the prestigious John Simon Guggenheim Award in year 2000. Si Professor Andaya naman, ang kanya naging ambag is yung pagiging expert niya sa Southeast Asian history. Nagbigay siya ng valuable insight into the historical context of the film, and yung knowledge niya ay nakatulong para mas shape or mas mahubog yung narrative, and also nagbigay din siya ng mas malalim na pagpapakita or doon sa mas malalim na documentaries doon sa mga Moro people and their resilience or yung katatagan nila against dun sa Spanish colonizer.
Good day everyone, today I will share with you the contribution of three key figures who played important roles in the documentary Riders of the Sulu Sea. These are Dr. Julius Bautista, Dr. Margarita Tintin Cuanco, and Halman Aboukhabar. Each of these provided valuable knowledge, expertise, and perspective that shaped the historical narrative of the film. The first contributor is Dr. Julius Bautista. He is a cultural historian and anthropologist specializing in religion and Southeast Asian studies. In the documentary, his contribution was his deep academic background in Southeast Asian history, particularly in understanding how culture, religion, and identity influence the region. His role was to explain the broader historical and cultural context of the Zulu riders, connecting their actions not just to piracy but to struggles of faith, identity, and survival. His expertise gave the film credibility by grounding it in scholarly research and by clarifying how the Philippines' religious and cultural past influenced moral resistance. The next one is Dr. Margarita Tintin Coanco. She is both a historian and a peace advocate. In Riders of the Sulu Sea, her most significant contribution was her research and writings, particularly her book Quiz of Valor. This work focused on the Sama Balihi people of the Sulu archipelago, exploring their history, their weapons such as the quiz, and their culture. Through her insights, the documentary was able to highlight the bravery, traditions, and social structures of the riders, presenting them not only as warriors but also as people with a strong cultural identity. Her work gave the film rich historical depth and allowed viewers to understand the Zulu warriors from a human and cultural perspective. And finally, the last one of the six contributors of the Riders of the Sulu is Halman Abu Kabar. He is a Tausug leader from Hulu belonging to a well-known Abu Kabar clan. During the making of the documentary, he was serving as the municipal councilor. His contribution was providing the local and cultural perspective. He demonstrated Tausug martial traditions such as silat and explained the symbolic importance of traditional bladed weapons like the barong and the quiz. More importantly, he challenged the colonial narrative and labeled the Moors as pirates. For him and his people, these raiders were not acts of piracy but acts of self-defense and freedom fighting against foreign powers. His personal testimony and cultural demonstrations give the documentary an authentic local voice and showing how the Tausug themselves view their story. Together, their contribution helped present a more balanced and meaningful understanding of the Moro maritime resistance, not as a mere piracy, but as a struggle for identity, freedom, and survival.